A Palestinian state should be created, given all the necessary security guarantees for Israel. Hezbollah, for too long, has been running an untenable risk of dragging Lebanon into a war. Israel cannot, without consequence, just expand its operations to Lebanon. We cannot have a war in Lebanon. There cannot be a war in Lebanon. These two words, United Nations, need to embody hope once again. And what must we do for this? We need to find this essential bedrock of this, and that's what I wanted to touch on briefly. Above all, first and foremost, we need to restore the terms of trust and respect between peoples. And here I can see them often trampled in our debates. To do this, we need to pay equal attention to those who are suffering. As I mentioned here 2 years ago, in fact, let's stave off the possibility of having double standards. One life is equal to another. The civilian protection is an imperative norm and must remain our North Star at a time when this year we are marking the 75th anniversary of the Geneva Conventions. And let's not let the idea take root for a moment that those who died in Ukraine are from the north, that those who have died in Gaza are from the south, and those who die in the conflicts in Sudan in the Great Lakes region or in Myanmar would be those who've consequences, who are alone and ignored. Let's regain control and restore this confidence and trust, which means that we should look for peace everywhere and not accept any differences at a time, or indifference at a time when human lives are at stake. Let's not accept any difference being made when territorial integrity and the sovereignty of states is at stake either. These conflicts today call into question our very capacity to ensure that our UN Charter is respected. And when I see some people want to propose peace by asking for capitulation, it's surprising. We can't even, how can we could support any idea like this? I would like to reiterate here how the protection of civilians, of all humanitarian workers, of all of those who are working to defend our common values is crucial in each and every one of these conflicts. Next, we must provide a common response to the great challenges, the two wars that are affecting Europe and the Middle East. Russia, indeed, is waging a war in Ukraine for territorial conquest, scorning the most fundamental principles of international life. They are guilty of violating the law, ethics and honour. Nothing that they're doing is in line with the common interest of nations, nor the specific responsibilities that they shoulder within this organisation. The fate of Ukraine is a question of peace and security in Europe and around the world, because who could still believe that they are protected from their bigger neighbours, the violent neighbours, those avid ones? If we let Russia win this as if nothing happened, no one could do that. It is therefore in our common interest and the common interest of nations that Ukraine be restored in its legitimate rights as soon as possible and that just and lasting peace be built. France will continue to do everything in its power so that Ukraine can hold strong, be out of danger and obtain justice. France will continue to provide it with the equipment that is necessary for its defence, and with its allies and partners that are closest to them, France will support the remarkable resistance of the Ukrainian people and will commit to their lasting security. Let us look for peace. France will join its forces with all of those sincere partners to build solid peace in Ukraine, for Ukraine and for Europe. I know that for many of us, the key issues are elsewhere. There's a long list of forgotten wars, unjust victories, badly negotiated resolutions, or perhaps resolutions that are never implemented. I am not forgetting any of them, even if I can't list them all here. President Tshisekedi, who spoke earlier at this tribune, said that the situation in the Great Lanes, and I will go back to him and President Kagame in a few days, we'll cover that. That is of concern to us as well. And in Armenia, Prime Minister which France stands strongly shoulder to shoulder with the pressure from Azerbaijan and territorial intentions. The international community must be there so that peace negotiations are successful, and so that the internationally recognized borders are preserved. But I know that for a lot of the people here, the essential issue beyond these wars is together, and it's also for us together here in Gaza, where the fate of the Palestinian people is currently present and heavy over all of our debates. On this topic, on such a complex topic, I'd like to say clearly France's position from day one. We condemn strongly the terrorist attack, which was terrible and unprecedented, carried out by Hamas against Israel on the 7th of October. Terrorism is unacceptable, whatever the causes may be, and here we mourn the victims of the Hamas's attack on the 7th of October. They include 48 French citizens. I express my compassion, friendship to all of those families who have lost children, parents, friends on the 7th of October. We ask also once again and solemnly for the hostages to be released. Amongst them, there are also several French compatriots too. And here I wish to commend the efforts of the United States of America, Egypt and Qatar to achieve this. This remains a priority for us all. Israel, when faced with this terrorist attack, has a legitimate right to protect their own people and to deny Hamas the means of attacking them again. And no one here could have suffered something like the 2nd of October without there being consequences. However, the war that Israel is waging in Gaza has gone on too long. The tens of thousands of civilian victims in Palestine cannot be justified. There is no explanation possible for this. There are too many innocent people have died, and we mourn them too. And those people who have died are an outrage for humanity and a dangerous source of hatred, resentment, which threatens and will threaten everyone's security, including that of Israel tomorrow. So this war needs to stop, and a ceasefire needs to happen as soon as possible, at the same time as the hostages are released. And humanitarian assistance needs to arrive en masse in Gaza. This is a position that we have held since October 2023, where the resolutions with many of us. Let's hold the first humanitarian. We held a humanitarian conference for Gaza in November 2023 in Gaza. It's now a question of political will, given the destruction of the military capacity of Hamas, and it is imperative that a new page is turned in Gaza for the guns to be silent, for humanitarian workers to return, and for civilians to finally be protected. France will participate in any initiatives that will save lives and would allow for everyone's safety to be protected. The deployment of an international mission must open the way for the implementation of the two-state solution. It is up to the Security Council to take a position on this. And also, without further ado, the necessary provisions need to be taken to preserve the link between Gaza and the West Bank, to restore Palestinian Authority and its functions, and also to ensure the reconstruction of the territory, and to once again make life possible, quite simply. France will ensure everything can be done so that Palestinian people can finally have a state side by side with Israel. The conditions for just and lasting peace are well known. We just need to open the way for this, and the path towards this must be as short as possible. France will therefore is committed to the two-state solution and will renew its actions so finally it can benefit the people and meet their legitimate aspirations. A Palestinian state should be created, given all the necessary security guarantees for Israel. So we should build the reciprocal recognition and common security guarantees for all in the region. And we'll be working on this over the next weeks with Israelis and Palestinians, with all our regional and international partners as well. And at this time, at the moment, the main risk is that of an escalation. I expend my brotherly thoughts to Lebanon and the Lebanese people. Hezbollah, for too long, has been running an untenable risk of dragging Lebanon into a war. Israel cannot, without consequence, just expand its operations to Lebanon. France demands that everyone respect their obligations along the blue line. We will therefore act to ensure a diplomatic voice can be heard, a voice that is indispensable for sparing civilians and preventing a regional conflagration. We cannot have a war in Lebanon. There cannot be a war in Lebanon. This is why we urge Israel to cease this escalation in Lebanon, and we urge Hezbollah to cease the missile launches to Israel. We urge all of those who provide them with the means to do so to stop doing so. We have asked for the Security Council to meet today, indeed, to this end. And I welcome this. And the French minister at this end of the week will head to Lebanon themselves.